This video, after 1 week, only had 19,000 views. This video took over 15 days to make, which means this was a massive complete loss. But I did one singular thing that changed this video around. If I go here to the last 90 days, which is the most updated part, we can see it has 89,000 views and it's made $500, which has actually made it worth our time, and it's going to grow steadily after that. So I can maybe do lifetime since upload, and we can see exactly what happened here. Yeah, as you can see, we had like the initial peak of the first day it went uploaded, and then it trickled down after that, and we were getting barely any views. And then one single change right around here on the 22nd led to an increased amount of views over time and getting more views every day after it's been uploading and letting YouTube take care of its thing. So I can maybe refresh here and I can go back to the analytics and show you exactly what I did and how I was able to do this. Yeah, so you can see here, better is decently up, and then after about 6 days it kind of flatlined. It was pretty much flat from here to here, only getting 3,000 views, and then it's basically stuck at 20,000 views. We made a change right about here, and then after that change we saw a massive uptick in views, and it's now going to break 100,000 views pretty easily, getting 2,000 views every day. Take roughly about 5 days left, and it should be hitting that soon. Maybe 7 days max. So I'll be breaking down exactly the strategy I used to get there, and what caused it to flop in the first place, and how I was able to resurrect this video, and how you can do the same thing potentially. So first of all, we have to understand something about YouTube, is that there is kind of like market dynamics, in the sense there is a supply and demand push and pull type relationship, and if there's a high supply and there's a low demand, then a video is going to flop, and vice versa. And in this case, I believe some of that was at play with that specific video, the Titanfall video, where there was a decent amount of supply of these videos and there wasn't a lot of demand, because people already watched them, so they're not going to watch a later one, and a lot of things like that. Now, secondary to that, supply demand dynamics, which is probably like the least important thing to this video doing badly, but it is, I think, something that did affect it, because there's a lot of data supporting a negative Titanfall video, or Titanfall video in like a negative light would do well, but I think what I didn't realize is how many had there already been. So that's one thing you have to think about, is that too many positive data points is a negative data point. In this case, we use a lot of these positive data points to synthesize the fact that, hey, a Titanfall video would do well. Now, second to that, marketing. Let's talk about marketing and how important it is, and how to A/B test. I am a little bit anal when it comes to A/B testing. I love it. It's like insane how good it is. And I can go here to my past. As you can see, look at all these Titanfall videos. So I'm going to open each of these up, and I'll show you exactly what happened and how I was able to do this. So first of all, this is the initial one. We can see here is the initial Titanfall. So what I did here is, I don't know if I can scroll down here. Yeah, scroll down. Like there's like a lot, and I mean a lot of different tests here. So what we did here for these tests, and this is thumbnailabtest.com, if you did not know, I basically loaded every single title and thumbnail variation in here, and I put it to test to see what was working. We got 135,000 impressions with a 10% CTR, would have actually been not bad. 13,000 views. We only had a 4% CTR, which means we only got 8,000 views. So from there, we can deduce one or two things. Either the title or the thumbnail is bad, and in this case, the title is bad. So I want you to ignore this. This was not the initial title we started with. I'm not too sure we'll show the initial title, but this was not the initial title. It's the current title. So after its initial results, I was able to cancel the test because I have actual past data. And generally, past results are not indicative of future results, but past results can be indicative of benchmarks that you can then utilize to make future predictions, which is very different than being like, oh, in the past XYZ happened, so in the future XYZ will happen. In the past, what I can infer is XYZ happened. Therefore, what is currently happening is against what our kind of normal model is, or our normative model, if you will, of what we can kind of like figure out using the data. So that way I know there's something wrong, because I know the data supports the fact that this video should do well in terms of a broad market. So therefore, something's happening, it's not doing good. So what I did there is I basically immediately canceled that, just because it just wasn't working. So I loaded up another one. We loaded up a 72-hour one and let it rip. Again, we're just testing literally everything to see what's working. We're testing all the thumbnails once again. Again, ignore the title because it's not the title we actually used. So if I go here to views, we can see barely any difference between any of these views. So that means like I can make a pretty strong inference that the thumbnail was not the principal issue, as most of the thumbnails were getting roughly pretty similar watch time within margins of error. And then from there I canceled that one because I'm like, okay, obviously that's not the reason. We loaded up another one based off the data. We threw in 2 new thumbnails as well, just so we can have some more variety, and we also threw in some more titles. So what we did here is, this is something that we can actually like make a pretty reasonable response with, is with all of the different thumbnails, the 3 strongest titles were EA killed Titanfall, but why? Which is kind of something that is talked about in that video ad nauseum. So we can make that inference. It's like, okay, so based off the data here, we have 3 well, two thumbnails are pretty much the same, and the one that's a little bit different. But we have, more importantly, these videos are performing pretty well, which means, and then the tragic death of Titanfall was also something, or why is Titanfall dead? Was the other one, which is we can make two inferences here. Inference number one is that EA killed Titanfall, but why is the best thumbnail or the best title, and the secondary inference is asking a question in the title creates an open loop for the potential viewer to want to click on the video. The original title, I believe, was The Tragic Death of Titanfall, based on our data for this video here, which was The Depressing Decline of Call of Duty. We had The Tragic Death of Titanfall, which is more of a statement. And then, because it's for dead, there's lots of community, what we had to do is we had to create an open loop by priming the viewer with a question. So I did two question models here, which is EA killed Titanfall, because obviously anyone who's familiar with the game understands that EA actually did position Titanfall to die, and essentially did kind of kill them. And then the other one is why is Titanfall dead? Because a lot of people like Titanfall, so we can kind of tap into the nostalgia factor, or tap into the kind of the conspiracy, like public sentiment factor of EA being a shit company and ruining it. And then from there, once we locked in that title, what we did is, I believe this should be so hold on. I can load that in. So once we locked in that title, we can figure out that those two titles are the good ones. I'm just doing this one because, I mean, these three outperformed these three. If it was one where it's like this outperforms and this outperforms and it's like, back and forth, I would A/B test those two to get a finite answer. But these ones, I mean, again, within the margin of error, like these two both got 263, 247. So like these are all very, very, very similar amounts of views. But I actually just kind of went my gut here based on what I'm seeing. From both views and watch time, and EA killed Titanfall, but why? On average, had a better watch time, again within the margin of error. But there's enough things that are positive indicators to me that this video is the one that I should be doing. For example, like again, this has 20 times 20 AVD CTR. That doesn't really mean anything. What really matters is the days views, and the total amount of views from these three is higher than these three, and then the total amount of watch time on average from these three is higher than these three. So I had two positive vectors that said EA killed Titanfall, but why was the best one. And then from there, if I go back, I think it's this one. Yeah, this was a side test with that title. I was trying to thumbnail format, didn't really work. That was just experiment. Yeah, so from there, I just basically did iterative testing. So to break it down, I was a little bit wrong in my market hypothesis, my market thesis, if you will. But I was able to claw it back due to just human psychology and understanding it. So again, I'll bring up thumbnail B test /B test, and kind of just went in there and went pretty crazy with testing a bunch of thumbnails, because that's a pretty easy tangible thing. It is what people see. It's not really necessarily what people are looking or looking at. They don't really necessarily look at the title, they look at the thumbnail. So by going absolutely crazy on the thumbnail test, I was able to deduce from the stats that thumbnails likely weren't the issues based on the data sets that we have in the past on thumbnail tests. We would have seen a more substantial increase in CTR generally across the board with thumbnails. Again, we have the past data to say that. So from there, I'm adding more thumbnails in the mix. Maybe it is a thumbnail issue. So we double down on the thumbnails and we add more thumbnails in and test again. Again, after we added more thumbnails and we tested a second time, we understand that we have conclusive data now that the thumbnail is not the issue, it's the title. So we create different titles based on human psychology. So we have EA killed Titanfall, but why? And we create two different open loops. And then if I go back here, there is a lot of data sets here. I believe, I don't know if I can find the test one, but there was one that had north of north of I think 67 individual tests. Not too sure if thumbnail test is going to show that one, because it did get canceled pretty fast. And then we just have a test one here. So yeah, so I mean, if you have a strong market hypothesis, then you can figure out what's going on. In this case, the market hypothesis was semi-weak based on general factors where there's just too many good data points that I didn't see that too many good data points in this case was a technically negative data point, because there's oversaturation. So we had to come out with a different angle. And because we did the same title and thumbnails, we did the previous thumbnails based on our previous hypothesis, or I guess our previous hypothesis as an aggregate, we actually primed the video to be less successful on the start. So therefore, what we did is we changed marketing via thumbnails. We realized thumbnails weren't the issue based on past data. So then the only conclusive evidence was title, and then we changed the title. In addition to that, the only reason we actually changed it is that if I go back to my analytics here, and I'll go to engagement, the average view duration of this video was, even with the ad here, was substantially higher than our average videos. Normally we have a roughly 35 to 40% average percentage viewed. This had 42% average percentage viewed with an ad in it, which was indicative to us, and we can actually see like the the kind of like the slope of, or the drop off is kind of low here. Lower than our average. So we were able to figure out that, hey, this video should be primed for success. We know there's a market for it. We just have to figure out how to get it in front of that market. And then from there, what we did is we just changed titles, thumbnails, and we saved the video. And that is how we saved EA Kill Titanfall. And now it's sitting at 89,000 views. It'll cross 100,000 views. It's also the same reason why these two videos here, we actually aren't A/B testing, because we know from the initial data that I go to engagement, the watch time is too low for us to save. It is below our average of 35%, I believe, on both of these videos, which means no amount of thumbnail and title testing based on our internal KPIs are going to save the video. If they were literally 1% more, we would be more inclined to save the video. But because both average view percentage are down and watch time totality is down, it actually does not make sense for us to watch the video, to change the video or exert effort into it, because we know, or at least I know internally, that YouTube is likely not going to push it based on data. So yeah, that is how I saved a video that was stuck at 20,000 views and helped it get almost over 100,000 views. Likely it will hit 100,000 views, and hopefully how you can do the same.